Hello everyone, I'm Paul, also known as Rorschach on the forums and the wiki, and this is a walkthrough for Sword of the Stars 2. In this video I'll be covering the strategic screen. This is the screen where you'll be spending most of your time while playing the game, and that's a lot to cover, so let's get started. As you see here, I've already got a game set up. I've already done a previous video you can look at to see the details on how to set up a game. One thing I do want to mention though is that I've got a relatively small game, just 4 players here, and I've chosen the Tarkas as my faction. The Tarkas are a good faction to start out with, especially if you're new to Sword of the Stars. They're very straightforward in terms of their FTL, technology, and economics, so it's a great place to start if you're new to the game. So when you first start up the game, this is turn 1, you get this homeworld established dialog. This provides details of your colony and what's going on within it, the outputs that you have, the various resources that you're getting from those colonies. Really the most important part of this is right down here. When you colonize a world, you get to pick its name. The name of the colony, the name of the planet changes into the name of the colony. Since you have your starting 3 colonies already colonized, you don't get to change their names except for your home world. So you can call this, for example, Tarkas Prime. Okay, so we're going to start out here in the upper left hand corner and kind of work our way around the screen clockwise. Up here is this is an empire summary area. So your empire level controls and your summarization of what's going on across your entire empire is up here in the upper left hand corner. So you see the avatar that you chose, the primary empire color that you chose, your secondary colors down here in the corner, and then the badge that you have on all of your ships. These icons along the bottom, they've all got tooltips. They're empire level controls. A lot of these things like research, design, stations, diplomacy are things that I'm going to cover in additional videos, dig into the details of that. Right now we're just going to keep things kind of on this screen and at a higher level. This is your budget pie, which shows where your income is currently going towards. Again, I'll be going into economics and things like that later on. Your gross controls from your economy is the difference between how much of your income goes towards government versus research. And this icon over here, spinning icon, shows what research project you have going. There's nothing here, that's why you got the question mark, and that's why the research screen is flashing at you, but we're going to leave it flashing at you. So you change it from one to the other. You push things more towards research or more towards the government side of the scale. Moving on from that, over here on the upper right hand corner is the list of players that you currently have. If you're playing a single player game, there's not much value in this other than reference of what factions are out there and what are their primary colors. When you're playing multiplayer though, this playing list right here gives you a status of where everybody's at. So you know if they've submitted their turns or not, you know if they're in combat, all of those sorts of things. Again, much more interesting if you're in a multiplayer game. Single player, not as big of a deal. Now let's look at the whole star map. So just like with the other 3D screens in Sword of the Stars, we've got homeworld controls. So if you hold down your right mouse button and then move the mouse, you're rotating around whatever point you have focused on. Right now I've got Takeda, my homeworld, is focused on. Scroll wheel zooms in and zooms out on your mouse. You can also double click to change your focus, and then double click again to change it back. Taking a look at what we've got here, so you see that there are multiple stars that we have that represent systems, and each one of these stars has a call out. With your unexplored systems, the call out is going to be kind of grayed out and have this single bar underneath it. Once you've actually surveyed a system and you understand what's in there, the call out will have be filled in on both the top and the bottom, and it'll be not so much grayed out, more white. Your own colonies, of course, you've already know what's in them, so there is, particularly in your color, this icon that's around your home world is the home world reference. So the star and the laurel means that this is your home world. Very important world for you. This little mini ship over here shows that you've got at least one fleet in orbit or within this system. As you notice, as I hover the mouse over, not even selecting, but just hover the mouse over a particular system, it gives you a breakdown of how many planets that you have, how many asteroid fields, whether you've got, let's see if I can find an asteroid field here real quick. There's one. So that's second orbit right there for Procyon. That's an asteroid field. Also gas giants and moons, things like that. You see the Takeda system is actually a pretty complex system. Looking at the call out that we've got here, though, there's a lot of information that you can pull from just the call out. So you understand that it's in my Empire colors, so it's mine. It's got my badge too. That's even a better reference. This one dot right here means that there's one colony of mine within this system. Multiple colonies will mean multiple dots. Colonies of other factions will be different colored dots there as well. These circles out here, they each represent a station slot. Stations are what you use to kind of customize your particular system. So you take the resources of the system and you kind of push them through the station to put it in one direction or another. Military versus diplomacy versus science versus economics. Those are the different types of stations that you can build. Again, I'll go into detail more in another video on stations, but just know that right now I've got the capability to build up to 3 stations within this system, and one of them is already built. That's a naval station. That's that particular icon right there. The last thing in the call out I'll draw your attention to is this number right here, 13 out of 100. This shows the supply capabilities of this particular system. The fleets that you build need to be based on a system or a particular station, and you can only supply a certain amount of what's called cruiser equivalents within a system. Since I've got a station here and it's actually a level 4 naval station, I've got a lot of supply that's available to me, a whole 100. And I've got 13 cruiser equivalents currently based here. If we take a look over here at one of my other colonies, which can only have one station and doesn't have one there yet, you notice that one colony provides me only with 6 cruiser equivalents of supply. So you can basically base a small fleet at your worlds if you don't have a naval station to provide additional supply. That kind of forces your front lines, because you're only going to, I'll dig into the mission some more on how all of that stuff works out. So moving on, so we've got the main screen, we've got the top done, so let's come down over here. This menu screen right here, so this is what happens when you hit escape as well. One of the things that I want to call out, so you got your going back to the main menu, your save games, your options. Check this out. You've actually got this end of turn delay. When you click on end turn, it gives you a 3-second delay. If you don't like that and you just want to hit end turn and go immediately to the next turn, you can do that. There's also the menu in the background, combat, subtitles, check for inactive fleets. So there's a little bit of optional stuff here, not just your audio options that you've got. The other thing is the auto options I want you to take a look at. So these are some things that kind of simplifies your gameplay, so you don't have to dig into the details as much and just let the computer handle things for you. It also means that you're at the whims of what the AI sets up for you. So if you auto place your defensive assets, your platforms, your minefields, and your system defense boats, then you can go in there and change it yourself, but you're kind of leaving it up to the AI to do that. Auto repairing the assets, again, repairs upon arrival at a system with repair points until complete, but you don't get to pick who gets repaired first, second, third. Everybody gets it kind of equally. And then within the actual combat itself, some of the modules that you add onto your ship, again, take a look at my design and build video for that. These particular modules, instead of manually having to trigger them, they'll be triggered on this. So some important stuff there. There's also a huge set of hotkeys that you can remap yourself, so feel free to jump in there if you're more of a keyboard person than a mouse person to dig into that. Okay, also over here in the corner is this little question mark. So a lot of the screens, this screen and a lot of the subscreens have this question mark. This is the closest thing that you're going to get to a tutorial. It's a quick reference to just kind of show what you're looking at around on the screen. So a quick little reference of what's going on if you forget or if you're brand new to the game. So. Then down here is the marquee that you've got that shows the events. Currently we don't have any events going on because this is the very first turn, but also if you click on this stack, this history stack here, it'll show all the events that have run over time. So you can scroll back and forth, just left click and hold, and then as you pick the events, they'll show up in this particular window right here. You click on the window and it'll take you to where that event occurred. Over here is the view modes that you have for your star maps. So we're currently in normal view, which shows pretty much everything that's going on at a basic level. Then you also have survey view. Survey view grays out systems that you haven't surveyed yet. Provinces shows your political boundaries. So provinces, probably dig into that when I talk more about the empire and government management, but provinces are your political boundaries that you have. Support range, this is important for your missions. Missions that occur within the bubble of support from your colonies actually can have double endurance, and I'll explain endurance in a little bit here. Sensor range, so this is what you can see, what is within your sensor range, what you can view directly, what you can see what's going on. So good for incoming fleets, or if you've got enemies or other factions that are nearby to keep an eye on them. And then the last one is terrain. This kind of shows the different areas of the map that you have. So you can see I'm right here in the Spinward Marches. I'm near Conrad's Mall, or Conrad's Wall actually. Resurgam is up to the north, or up above the rest of it. Akamar is over here on the side, and Kaus is over on the other side. So you kind of get an idea that, you know, this is a four-person game. I'm here in the Spinward Marches. There's probably a guy over in Akamar. There's probably a guy in Kaus and Resurgam, and we'll all be fighting over Conrad's Wall here in the center. I like to, especially early on, I like to kind of keep it in the survey view so I know where I'm at and where I'm going, kind of focus on what I see in terms of my worlds. Over here, of course, is the turn counter, and then that end turn button, like I showed, it's got a 3-second countdown, so you can click on it to cancel that. Now, if you've been astute, you may have noticed that when I click on particular worlds, there are highlights that show up. So when I click on a system, sorry, not worlds, too used to Sword of the Stars 1, where a system was a world, or each star had one planet around it. So with these, as you can see, we've got multiple planets around here. Everything is grayed out because this is a unsurveyed system, but I have an idea that there are 3 planets around this system, and that the stellar class that's here, the solar activity, that's important if you are the Loa, and it also kind of shows the stability of the star, which is important for a nasty thing that was added in End of Flesh as well. If you click on your own colony or a different colony, then you get a lot more interesting things going on. So not only do you get the breakdown, you show the star, the breakdown of the planets that you have here, but you also have some additional controls that are available. So the capability to build ships is not an empire-wide capability. You can build ships individually in each system, so it's broken down by that. Repair ships, again, each system combined together, all the colonies and stations that you have combines together into one pool to be able to build ships and to repair ships. So that's all unified, one system at a time. And then managing fleets, I'll probably break into that in a future video. Down here then, you've got 2 tabs of the breakdown of the particular systems between fleets and planets. So if we click on a particular planet, then that folds out even more, and you recognize this is the same thing as we saw. Oops. That back up. This is the same thing that we saw in that original dialog box, where you've got a lot more breakdown of how much money is coming in, the economic rating, etc., etc. Again, I'm pretty sure in my economics and government video I'll break this down a lot more. But just have an understanding that this shows not only the worlds that you've got, but the other worlds that are nearby. So you can see the green ones are potential possibilities to colonize, but the red ones you're never going to be able to colonize, and you can tell that by the climate hazard rating in this bar that's up here. So you want it dead center. The further off it is, the more it's going to be impossible to colonize. When you start off colonization, especially without any techs and the starting fleets that you have, you really want your climate hazard to be under 200 before you colonize a world. You can see right here on the development cost, we're looking at 200k per turn to develop that particular colony. That's going to be way too big of an impact on you. Let's see if any of our other systems. Nope, there's only one world around there. And the last one, there's only one world around there. So unfortunately, we don't have a good colonization target. One last thing, up here in the system view, you can click on that and actually get a view of what's going on here. So if we want to look at the home world, here's our home world. You go down to the dark side and you can see quite a few cities that are being built there, and there's our level 4 naval station that we've got here. You can see around the outside, these are the incoming kind of waypoints. So if there is a particular fleet that's heading towards you from Starhaven, it'll be showing up around here when it spawns in. So this is kind of fun. You can look around and see the different worlds that you've got. We've even got a gas giant here and 2 kind of barren planets that are nearby. Alright, so you can back out of this down here in the lower right hand corner. And we go back here and we go take a look at the other tab. The other tab are the fleets. So, as you see, when you start out with the game, you've got 3 basic fleets that you start with: a survey fleet, a construction fleet, and a colonization fleet. But there are also fleets that are static for each system that you have. So if I click over here on Bizarro, you'll notice that there's a reserve and a defense fleet here. In Ymar, we've got a reserve and a defense fleet here. The reserve fleet is where ships that are built go into. They're considered mothballed, so they don't impact your maintenance costs as much, but you need to move them into an active fleet before you can actually make use of them, or they can enter into combat. Anything in the reserve fleet is not going to play if you get attacked. It's got to be either moved into the defense fleet or one of the mobile fleets that you've got here. Okay, so reserves are mothballed, they will not fight. Very important to understand that. The defense fleet is primarily your static defenses. Probably in the combat setup video I'll dig into that a little bit more. So these aren't mobile in terms of FTL capabilities. They're just going to stick with your particular system and act as an additional defense. When combat occurs in Sword of the Stars, when a round of combat occurs, it's one fleet fighting against another fleet. You're limited to only bringing in a fleet. But the defensive people have an advantage because they get to bring in these static defensive assets into the battle as well. So it kind of tilts it a little bit towards defense. Offense has an advantage because they can bring up to 3 fleets within a turn and attack successively with those 3 fleets. You have to defend against it all within 1 turn. Okay, stations are broken down as well here. So you see there's my starbase, my level 4, and if you notice these little carrots here, you keep on digging down into that and you can get down into the very specifics of what's the health of this particular starbase, and if you want to actually trash it and get rid of it. You can do that at this level, but that's not what we want to do. That would pretty much cripple us. So you dig down into the survey fleet and you will get some breakdown here. So you see that there's an admiral that we have. Fleets are the base unit of Sword of the Stars 2. You're never going to have individual ships running around being commanded attacking, defending, all of those sorts of things. Everything has to be put into a fleet. You move fleets, you assign fleets to missions. They are based at particular systems, usually around a naval base, and they strike out or go do their missions from there and return back. So in order to create a fleet, and again in my build and design video I'll go into more detail, you need to have an admiral and you need to have a command class ship. Those two things are your base level requirements to have a fleet, and then you add on other ships to it up to this command point limit that you've got. So we see we've got 30 out of 54. We've got 2 supply ships here and 2 armor ships. So the overall supply, you see the upper in this fleet, in this little ship call out, I can't move the mouse over because it'll come off of it. You see there's a 74 out of 167. That shows the supply value for that ship. You notice the supply guys have quite a bit more, 255 as opposed to 167 or 120 for the command. The entire supply of the fleet breaks down to the endurance. So right now we have enough supply for the fleet to act for 3 turns. So we have to go out, do our mission, and come back in those 3 turns. That's one of the disadvantages of the Tarka, is that they are pretty supply limited. But again, I showed you, or I explained earlier with the map views, if you're doing missions within the support range, then your endurance is effectively doubled. So as long as I'm sticking within these areas, I can go up to 6 turns out and back. So when you want to move, you don't actually move your fleets. You can move your fleets. It's called rebasing. You need to move them from one base to another. But they need to, as they go out and do their missions, they need to come back. They need to refit, rearm, resupply, do maintenance, do overhauls, all of those sorts of things. So it kind of keeps the front lines closer to each other. You can't send people out, or you send ships or fleets out on kind of, long-term deep strike suicide missions, at least not without the appropriate supply to go out there. So we take a look at the survey fleet. We want to send them out on a mission. Flip this back over to normal view. So we want to send this survey fleet out on, well, let's call it a survey mission. So we want to take a look at where we want to go. So I right click on the fleet, and then you have the capability to rename, dissolve, cancel mission, he's not on a mission, survey, relocate, patrol, and strike. We want him to survey. So we click on that, and then it switches over to the mission selection screen. So we've got our fleet with our admiral broken down right here, and then the particular systems in range that we can go after. If we forgot what's in our fleet, we can click on this fleet and see our breakdown showing the classes of ships and the particular ship names that we've got. But which systems are in range here? Let's take a look. Wundagore looks pretty good. Medea, Starhaven, sure. Starhaven looks good. So we've got Starhaven selected, our fleet is selected, and you notice up here in the upper right hand corner is the total breakdown of our mission. So it'll take us 6 turns, so we're still within our range. So we've got that 6 turns of endurance. It'll take us 4 turns, which means 2 turns to get out there, 2 turns to get back, and it'll take us 2 turns to do the actual surveying of those 3 worlds that are around Starhaven. So we can go ahead with that and click confirm and exit. But something else that you can do in order to keep your fleets mobile is maybe I want to move it closer to the front lines. So after I survey Starhaven, maybe I want to hit these back worlds here, these back systems here. Well, to go from Takeda out to each of these systems and back again is going to take longer than if I just left from Yamar. So after I do this mission, I actually want to rebase to Yamar and select that, and now after that mission is done, we'll rebase over to Yamar. And you notice that the fleet has 5 ships in it, so it's got a cruiser equivalent of 5, so Yamar's got the supply capabilities to take that. So we're ready to go, so we confirm and exit, and now we've got our little line showing us heading out to Starhaven. Additionally, So I showed you how to command or send a fleet out on a mission specifically. There are a couple particular missions, a lot of the construction missions, and then other missions as well. The strike and patrol can be done from right-clicking the target, not just the fleet. So say I want to build a science station here in the Takeda system, I can right-click on the system itself, come down here to build station, and it goes to the target level of the station of the mission selection screen. So you notice here that the fleets that can perform this particular mission are shown. So my 2 idle fleets are shown right now. My survey fleet's not eligible because that's already off on a mission. You notice my colonization fleet's there. Well, it's there, but it's grayed out because I actually don't have a construction ship. A construction ship is required to actually go on this particular mission. So I can't really select that, but if I select the construction fleet, then I show that it'll, selecting the science construction fleet, it'll basically take 1 turn and 100,000 credits to do that. If you want to get specific and show which orbit you want to put your station in, you can do this place station, and then that'll actually bring you into the view of the system level view, and then you can click on the station and actually place it. If you care about those sorts of things, sometimes you do because you want to keep them close to each other, especially a naval station has some defenses on it. But if you don't want to bother with that, then you can just click on confirm and exit, and that's done. Let's see, what else do we need to talk about here? I think that's about it. So it's kind of the start off that we've got here. We've got all the systems, all the fleets, how to move things forward, how to send them off on missions. If you've got any questions, feel free to leave a question in the comments, or there's also, the manual is worth reading, especially as a reference. There's also a beginner's guide. Those things are all, there's a wiki that I administer that's out there as well that's got some references. So there's a lot of things that you can get to. A lot of those links are actually in the launcher screen when you first start up Sword of the Stars. So hopefully this was helpful for you. Please feel free to leave feedback and be on the lookout for additional videos and updates as we continue on. Thanks a lot.